Hello, and welcome to the online recorded version of the Taxport Compass demonstration. Today, we're going to cover key points of differentiation for Taxport Compass to separate it from a lot of the other tools, resources, and processes that you may use or perform today around understanding your 1099, non-wage, and withholding responsibilities as an organization, as well as give you a demonstration of the actual tool itself so you can see how complete the information is, how easy the information is to find, and how powerful the information is from a standpoint of you actually being able to make decisions for your business. So to begin, Taxport Compass is a single focus source of all your 1099 and non-wage reporting information. We take information from hundreds of jurisdictions, all 50 states, federal, Canada, Puerto Rico, and other territories, and put it into one resource for you to cover all of your reporting needs, your withholding needs, direct state reporting, all those things that you probably today either don't spend the time researching yourself or are using several incomplete and in some cases not terribly helpful tools to try to obtain this information. We focused a lot of energy and time with Taxport Compass on organizing this compliance resource in a way that just makes sense, providing you obviously this information in an on-demand fashion to where whenever you log into the site, you're getting the most up-to-date and current compliance information, and it's just intuitive. It's easy for you to navigate through the site, find the information you're looking for, and get the answers to your business needs. Of course, part of getting the answers is actually having information that's actionable. So what we're talking about here is a rather esoteric and complicated process. We're talking about 1099 and non-wage withholding information. This information is gathered from a lot of different pieces of legislation or regulations that obviously impact your business, where you're having to make decisions, in some cases on a daily basis. And this information we've taken and boiled it down into actionable key pieces to where you don't have to be a lawyer or a tax expert to be able to know where your responsibilities lie and what you need to do. Obviously, if you're making decisions in real time, the information needs to be up to date. That's where using a service like Convey's Taxport Compass really helps you out. Our compliance team is reviewing this information daily, and when changes are made, they're presented instantly to you, the user. We also send push notifications to the users so they are alerted when they need to go to the site because something has changed or needs their attention. Lastly, information around tax compliance is only as good as its sources. This is why we spent a significant amount of time providing links to publications and other cited material. One, so you can see where this actionable information and these recommendations are coming from. Moreover, if you find yourself in a situation where your organization needs to perhaps make a decision or understand your unique situation a little differently, you have the resources that are available to you to be able to dig deeper. So with that, we're going to go straight to Taxport Compass, and I'll give you a demonstration of the tool. So here we have the home page for Convey's Taxport Compass. Before we get into some of the details of the information contained, I first want to talk to you a little bit about this home page and some of the information we have on here, as well as some of the navigation of the site and where you can expect to find the information you're looking for. So to begin, as we discussed earlier, one of the things that we really focus a lot with Taxport Compass on is the ability to drive users to understanding what information is new and actionable that they need to be doing something about. As you'll see here, this home page is a section where we have almost like a blog, latest updates of information and news going on that users need to be alerted to and in a lot of cases take action on. This is a running list of information that, whether it be information around the recent shutdown at the IRS, or new sections of Publication 1220 being released, or information on Oregon, all this information is always going to be here. So each time you, the user, logs in, you're going to be able to see what you've missed since the last time you logged in. These are also the type of notifications that Taxport Compass will push to you, the user, so you can be aware without having to sign into the application. Now, getting back to the navigation of the site. So here at the top, we'll see our navigation bar where we have states and territories, federal, Canada, and a quick reference section. The quick reference section we'll cover last, but that's really a helpful tool, especially as it relates to state reporting, and a tool that we're going to continue to build out as time goes on. So starting with states and territories. You'll see here we have all the states as well as Puerto Rico, the District of Columbia. All of this information is easy to get to a state just by simply clicking on a state. We'll start with California since that seems to be a pretty popular state for anybody that does any direct state reporting. You'll see here that the California homepage by default is going to be that What's New section. Just like the other homepage, this is where we'd contain information around what's new and what's changed for that state. For example, if we go to Oregon, we'll see that Oregon's What's New homepage has that information on the increased return penalties, being sure that you're reminded that that has changed if you weren't paying attention or it fell down to a lower spot on the home page. Back to California. You'll see within a given state, this navigation is actually going to be laid out the same state to state to state. So we're going to have non-payroll withholding requirements, annual returns reporting, independent contractor reporting, and CFS reporting. You'll also see on all the pages that we're going to have a icon here to email to other users a page and information that you want them to be aware of, as well as a print screen option to be able to format into a print screen so you can easily bring it to you with a meeting or otherwise. Starting with non-payroll withholding requirements, which for many people is probably one of the more difficult things that they deal with, you'll see that we have a variety of withholding types and determination information. So we cover pensions and annuities, backup withholding, interest and dividends, sick pay, and gambling winnings. We provide the determination information on whether or not the withholding is required. If it is required, what are the situations? What amount do you withhold? And also citations and forms for the information that we are providing you. As we stated earlier, citations are obviously a big part of this information within this site. Knowing where we got the information and being able to select a citation to pull up additional information so you, the user, can more clearly see some of the information for your unique situation and additional details is obviously an important part of what you do. All this information opens up in a new window whenever you click on any of the links. This way it ensures that you don't ever lose your spot while you're working with Taxport Compass. After you've done your withholding determination or evaluated that information, you'll see here that we actually even provide you information hitting on that point of providing you actionable information on how to actually register. We walk you through how to do it online, how to do it by mail, by telephone, and provide additional information as it relates to when you're registering for withholding. We provide citations and forms for that section just like the previous one and throughout all sections. Once again, opening up in new windows so you can continue working on the topic that you're in. After you've registered for withholding, you obviously need to handle the filing and depositing of that withholding. So you'll see here that we break that area into payment and remittance options, report filing options, zero withholding liability, amending withholding return, and records retention information. To start with the remittance options, you'll see the state of California has 3 options. If I want to do this online, you'll see that I select online and it actually provides the 4 options that I have for remitting those payments online. Once again, providing me detailed information and instructions on what I need to do, as well as the appropriate links to get to where I need to get to on the state of California site. Now that I understand how to remit my payments, we also provide a helpful calendar tool here that tells you when are your payment due dates. Knowing the type of filer you are, you select your due date. For instance, if I'm monthly, and it provides me the dates and information around remitting those payments. It also provides me information that, for instance, would change me from a monthly remitter to a next business day or semi-weekly in the situations with that. For reporting those payments that I remit, we also have report filing options. With the state of California, you'll see that the reporting is due the same time as the payment. However, that's not going to be the case for all states. So you'll note that some states will actually have a separate report filing dates, and you'll have another table there for you to be able to perform that task and understand that responsibility. We also provide you report filing instructions, whether it be online or by mail, with links and information on what you need to do there as well. Zero withholding liability, a common mistake for many organizations, not appropriately reporting their zero withholding. Each state is going to have this section where it will tell you whether or not you're required to do a zero withholding report. We then provide you information on how to amend a withholding return, whether it be electronic or by paper. And then a records retention section giving you the information of how long you need to retain those records, and then citations and forms like all other sections, providing you all that additional information and detail if you need to go even deeper. We also have an additional information section on every single state. This is going to provide you a lot of information around penalties and withholding penalties, failure to file. You'll note that the state of California actually has 2 agencies that issue penalties for withholding tax failures. And there's different things you need to be aware of as dealing with depending on the agency. And then finally, with each state and each section, at the very bottom of the page, we'll provide citations and links for the entire page itself. Now, I think one thing you should be seeing here already is that just in the withholding information that we've gone through in the one tab for the state of California for non-payroll withholding requirements, that the information is both extensive and very usable. The next section we're going to go into is showing you annual returns reporting. So this is where we're going to show you one, withholding tax return, so the reconciliation for your withholding information, whether it be online, by mail. What is that? Is there annual reconciliation required? And then annual information returns without withholding. So the rest of your 1099s, when are the due dates, whether it be electronic, by paper, what are the requirements, what are the filing instructions online, what are the specifications for those files, if you're mailing them, where to email them to, and then also participation in the combined federal state filing program, which we're going to cover a little bit more later. We also have W-2 non-wage payments return and then citations and links for that information. So taking lots of regulations, lots of detail, and boiling that down into very actionable information for you. Next, we'll get into independent contractor reporting, which once again is going to be repeated in every single state. So each state is going to have this section, and first and foremost it's going to say, is reporting required? If so, what are some of the details around that? How do I file? What is the required information from the independent contractor, the employer, contact information for the agency you need to work with, and then citations and links for that information once again. And the last page that we're going to cover here in the states is the Combined Federal State Reporting tab. This is actually a very, very helpful tool. And what this tool does for you is first it tells you whether or not it's a Combined Federal State program reporting state. So does the state participate in combined federal state? This is obviously helpful information all in itself, especially if you have payees or recipients in that state that you're making payments to. However, one thing you also need to be aware of is what forms are CFS forms and are not CFS forms. So what we did is we take all that information, we put it into a really helpful table for you. So if you're filing without CFS, so if you're not doing CFS filing, what are the direct reporting requirements for that state? Or if you are filing with CFS, what are the requirements for that state where you may have a direct reporting requirement? For instance, a perfect example of this is 1042S. A lot of organizations have 1042S forms and participate in CFS. However, CFS is not a 1042S form. Therefore, you need to send that information to the state of California directly per their annual returns reporting requirements on the due dates that they specified in the file format that they specified, same as the federal reporting, to meet their compliance obligations. Next, we'll move on to federal. So in the federal section, you're going to see the What's New tab, a non-payroll withholding, non-resident alien withholding, a forms tab, electronic information return reporting, and then penalties. So once again, the What's New providing you that most up-to-date information so you can make those actionable decisions quickly and see what's changed. If we get into non-payroll withholding, we'll see the information around backup withholding, what types of payments are subject to that, what types of payments are excluded, when does it apply, what are your liabilities, what's an exempt payee, how do I report on that, citations and links, of course, again, and then also additional information on pensions and the withholding obligations around that as well. For non-resident alien reporting, we'll see that we have broken real down in a simple, easy to understand what types of persons are subject to withholding, what type of documentation requirements do you have, what type of income is subject, how do I make the deposit, what are the deposit penalties, and then also what are the annual return types for that withheld taxes, what's required, whether it be a 1042 or 1042S form, and then citations and links for that. In the form section, you'll see here we have each of the forms listed, so 1042, 1042S, and one thing that's actually really great here is you're going to see that we actually bring forward that what's new. So what's new for 2013 for the 1042S form, providing you the information that's changed from the previous year. You also note that here is an example where we have 2014 information, where when we have 2014 information, here's the what's new. You know, this form has not been released. However, for the 1042S, there is a draft publication out that we provide you access to. For those forms that have been released, like the 1098, you'll see that we provide information of what's new for 2014, what do you need to report, and thresholds. Now, I want to note that this is really the kind of form and paper requirements, and that the 1220 information is going to be the electronic information return reporting section, which we'll go to here. So here we'll see for 2012 the information of what's new. So this information goes back to 2012, providing you the due dates, how do you correct a process file, you know, W-2 reporting, 1042S reporting information, and just like the other section, you can simply select a different year and you can see what's new for 2013 of what for the portions that have been released so far, the publication 1220. You'll note that Michigan and Vermont are now participating in the combined federal state filing program. And then lastly, for the federal section, we have a penalties area, and the penalties is going to give you information of different types of penalties, you know, general penalty rules, some information around intentional disregard of filing requirements, you know, the limitations on the penalties, and then removal of some of those limitations, and then as well some citations and links for further information. Now for Canada, now that we're done with federal, once again you see the what's new section. This is a little different from a standpoint that we break it apart into the different Canadian forms, providing you what's new, what do you need to report, the due dates for paper and electronic filing, citations, further information. So we really go more from a form by form perspective, and then from a reporting perspective, providing you the information of the filing requirements, you know, some important reminders of, you know, if you need to do it over the internet via XML, you know, if you have 1 to 50 returns or if you file more than 50 returns, what are the due dates, and then even the XML specifications for that file. And that's going to be form by form. So as you see here, these are the forms that we provide information on for those of you that have Canadian reporting requirements. Now the final piece that I want to cover, and saving the best for last really here, is the quick reference. So here you see we have a forms reporting section, and the quick reference section of the tool is really to provide you quick snapshots of information that's really helpful for you. So what we have here is we actually have the direct reporting requirements by form to inform you of whether or not you need or have a situation where you need to be doing direct state reporting. And once again, we tell you that by forms, whether or not you're filing without CFS or if you're filing with CFS. So this is a great way to see If you have, for instance, a 1099-Cs and you're filing in California and you're using CFS, do you still need to report directly? You'll note that a lot of states, if you're doing withholding, then you need to, even if you're filing with CFS, you still need to report directly to that state. This is really a great tool to give you a quick snapshot of what your reporting requirements are, and we cover all the different series of forms. So we cover 5498, 1042S, and all of that information for you. So I know we've gone through a ton of information and a ton of content on Taxport Compass, and frankly, we could spend a lot more time going through all the different pieces of information, but really the intent of this demo is to give you a understanding of how we've taken a very complex subject and very complex information, put it into a great resource for you to where your business can quickly identify what their obligations are from a compliance perspective, fill any gaps that you really have currently today where you're not able to spend enough time to really know that you're getting the right answers, and provide you with information that is up to date, actionable, and meaningful. If you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to ask. We're always here to help, and thank you.